Welcome to another edition of Fourth and Pain, the only football and pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. That right there, his name is Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Chuck, I know you're the weight loss champion. I know you're going to answer some weight loss questions today, but I'm starving. Feed me more. Feed me more. Feed me more.
Simmer down there, Ryback.
The Lost Wrestling promo.
Feed me more. I kind of like that more.
It's in the grave now. Thanks to Ryback.
Welcome to Fourth and Pain. Be sure to give the show a follow at Fourth and Pain, where there is brand new content each and every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern. My name is at the Chuck Carroll on Twitter. That's what I changed it to officially.
I am at Adam Carriker 94, but more importantly, at Fourth and Pain. Give us a follow.
Speaking of which, at Fourth and Pain, this is the family segment where we take your questions, give our answers. We got a mailbag full of them, so let's just dive right in there. First question. Hey, Adam, can you give us an update on how your injury is coming along? We need you back. That comes from Tony from Parts Unknown. He hit us up on Twitter at Fourth and Pain.
I wonder if he's an Abyss fan. The new PUP rules are going to help me out this year because it used to be last year by week 6 you had to be practicing and by week 8 you had to be playing. If you couldn't do that, you had to go on IR. This year you can start at week 6 practicing or you can start at week 11 and you have 3 weeks, so essentially to week 14 or 15 before I have to start playing. Full disclosure, all honesty, I admitted this to the Junkies earlier this week. Week 6 is not realistic. If it was under the normal rules, I would not be able to play. I'd have to go on IR. But I've got an extra month and a half. I've got an extra 5 weeks. That is going to be huge. That gives me a legit shot at playing this year.
I'd like to hear that, man. Would definitely love to see 94 trot out onto the field.
Dude, it's killing me. I'm dying. Whether we're winning or losing, it's just I'm dying. I'm not made to sit at home and watch the games. I drive my wife nuts. I drive everyone nuts. And what's awesome, we're going to turn this thing around. We make a playoff push. I'm going to be there for that last month to help us get in the playoffs and make that Super Bowl run.
There you go, man. There you go. Next question comes to us from Mike in Charlotte, who hit us up Fourth and Pain on the Ask an NFL Player Anything. Interesting one. I like this. It kind of reminds me of the late Lawrence Taylor situation, this Aldon Smith with the San Francisco 49ers. I just watched a documentary on LT. Is it kind of shocking that this could happen in an NFL locker room? And what do you think about sending an active player to rehab?
To me, it's not shocking at all, not just in an NFL locker room, but in any working environment. You have people who have lives, and they have issues, and they have problems. To me, what I love about this is the fact that he has checked into a rehab facility, that he is getting help, because that is huge and enormous. That's the biggest, most important first step you can take. Maybe if something like this had happened with LT, his life, as some things didn't go that well, may have turned out a little bit different. So I'm happy he's doing this, and no, to me, it's not a shocker.
And the next question for you comes from a Nebraska fan. You said the firing of Bo Pelini now would be ludicrous and to wait and see how this year plays out. So what is your new prediction for Nebraska season and how will it play out with Bo? That comes from Joe from Ogallala, who's a YouTube subscriber.
Originally, at the beginning of the season, about a month ago, I predicted Nebraska would go 11-1. I knew this was one of the most talented teams Bo had ever had. I also knew they were young. I didn't realize they were quite this young. I think it's going to be an interesting year on defense. I think we're going to end up around 9-4, somewhere in there again, maybe play for a Big Ten title. I'd be surprised if we win it. I think we can go to a non-BCS bowl game and be competitive. I think we're going to end up 9-4, no Big Ten title, and that's where you're going to have to take into consideration everything Bo's done, the young team, and what do you do? I think Bo gets another year because they are such a young team. Give these players time to grow up, and we'll see what happens. But for this year, I got to go 9-4.
Yeah, okay. I like that, though. 9-4, that's still not all that bad. That's going to get you into a bowl game.
That's not good enough for Nebraska, but that's what's great about Nebraska is we're better than Notre Dame.
You're a little jerk. You know that?
Well, you're just little.
Yeah. Which you shrink some, for God's sakes. All right, let's push pause
Chuck,
on the
get your hand out of there. That's inappropriate.
What? Okay, full disclosure, my hands are on camera.
Notice they weren't there a few minutes ago. Rewind that YouTube video, people.
Right. Let's move on. Let's bring in your lovely wife now. It's time for The Pulse, the best segment of the entire week, where we just kind of talk a little bit of real life. Angie Carriker is on the line. Give her a follow on Twitter at Angie Carriker. Angie, how are you this week?
How you doing, sweetie?
Good. Good to hear from you. And I understand that things are a little bit tough now where you come from out there in the Midwest in Nebraska. Speak of the devil. The Great Flood of 2013. First and foremost, how is your family?
They're good. So communities there really took action knowing that the floodwaters from Colorado were coming their way. Sandbagged a lot. My former high school, they had students sandbagging to help, like the gas stations and the other businesses right around the river to save those from any water damage.
And you said that the floods were actually coming from Colorado. Naturally, my next question for you guys is, how did your home make out? Because I know that your off-season home, your actual home, is out that way.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because the city that kind of the floodwaters went through, it kind of divided the whole city. If you lived by the river, you were affected. If you don't live by the river, you weren't affected. So we weren't affected. But I talked to a lot of friends back there. Like half the city was shut down, which is just, it's really odd that, you know, half the city is affected and the other half you're not affected. So you're dealing with like people that are dealing with floods and their whole house is gone and stuff like that, and other people, they're back to daily life like no big deal. So it's been interesting talking to people around there.
Certainly. And then I guess the last question for you before we let you go. Your family, they're farmers. How did their crop fare out in this flood?
My uncle has a piece of land that is right next to the river. My dad and him went and cut silage, which is just chopping down the corn and taking it to the feedlot with the cows because it wasn't ready for harvest, but it's now in like 2 foot of water.
Wow.
My dad did say, because they only got like half the field done, if it does dry out in like a week and a half, they can probably save the corn. It just depends how it dries out and if they get any more rain.
Well, we'll certainly keep our fingers crossed. And, you know, you think flood, you think the East Coast, you think the West Coast, you certainly don't think Middle America. So our thoughts, our prayers are with your family at this time. And, Ange, we look forward to speaking with you about something a little more peppy next week.
Sounds good.
That's Angie
Thanks,
Carriker
sweetie.
on the Pulse. Be sure to give her a follow at Angie Carriker on the Tweeters. Adam, time for just a couple more questions.
Let's do some of your weight loss questions. There are 8. This comes from Sarah Champagne via our Fourth and Pain Facebook. Give us a like. There are 18 million weight loss programs out there. I've tried them all. How do I know which one works for me?
I know the desperation that Sarah is feeling. The fact of the matter is, yes, there are 18 million programs out there, Sarah, but you know what? There's only one program from you, and it hasn't even been invented yet. It's what works for you. It wasn't until I stopped listening to everybody else and every other program and started listening to myself that I was able to shed that weight. Remember, I lost all of this weight without ever having gone to the gym. I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but that's freaking crazy. Nobody does that. But it's what worked for me. So I strongly encourage you to listen to yourself, figure it out, and then you too will be a weight loss champion.
This next question comes fourthandpain.com. Ask a weight loss champion section from Tom and Frederick. What's the healthiest thing you eat? Adam once said you eat alpha sprouts.
Yeah, those things taste good. You throw them in there with a little avocado, a little
Is that like what
hummus.
you feed the horses?
No, man, it's very good.
Okay,
Just watch
alfalfa?
Yeah,
All right.
little rascals. The healthiest thing I eat is called kimchi, and if you're not familiar with it, get acquainted because it's absolutely delicious. Though when I tell you what it is, you're probably not ever going to try it. It is fermented vegetables. They literally stick it in the ground to ferment. And so the kind that I get is really spicy. I mix that in there with a little bit of spinach and chicken. And I'm telling you, it is straight up delicious. Helps with the digestion. Make sure that everything you eat gets absorbed properly. You get the maximum efficiency from all of your vitamins and nutrients. Adam, final question is for you. Comes from Billy in McLean. He's an iTunes subscriber and a high school football player. He writes in your Pumping Iron Tip of the Week, you explained that the top 3 lifts for football you say are most, I'm sorry, in your pumping iron tip of the week, you explain the top 3 lifts for football. You say close grip is more applicable to a football player than a regular bench, but what different muscles does that work? And what other lifts can I be doing that are more applicable to football? He's a hungry one.
I like it. I like it. Real quickly, run out of time here. Close grip bench, you're going to work more triceps because you're in close, you're working the tris. You get out wider, regular bench, it's more pecs. A way to do the close grip bench more applicable to football than just doing regular close grip with a barbell, you take the dumbbells, you turn your palm in, and when you're striking somebody in the football field, you hit them with your palms facing in. You don't hit them facing forward. So you take the dumbbell, turn the palms in, and then you do the close grip bench press like that. You can't do as much weight with dumbbells, but I like it a lot better because it's more applicable to football.
And now, words of wisdom with Adam Carriker.
When a girl says she'll be ready in 5 more minutes, she's using the same time scale as when a guy says the game has 5 minutes left.